My family had a birthday dinner for my mother without me. The next morning, my sister sent me a Venmo request for $463.17 with one note. "You're third of Mom's dinner." What made it worse was that 2 days earlier, she had told me there wasn't going to be a family dinner at all. My name is Rachel, I'm 39, and my mother, Diane, turned 68 last month. I have an older sister, Melissa, who is 43, and a brother, Brian, who is 41. Since my dad died 5 years ago, the three of us have tried to make sure Mom never feels alone on birthdays or holidays. At least, that's what I thought we were doing. I was never the sibling who organized the big family photos or picked the restaurant. That was Melissa. She liked reservations, group texts, matching napkins, and being the person everyone thanked at the end of the night. I was usually the one doing the quieter things. I took Mom to follow-up appointments when I could. I picked up prescriptions if she didn't feel like driving. I stopped by with groceries. If her television stopped working, or she needed someone to wait for a repairman, I was normally the first person she called. I didn't mind. I loved my mother. I never kept score. About 2 weeks before her birthday, I texted our sibling group chat and asked, "What are we doing for Mom this year?" Melissa replied almost immediately, "Nothing big. She told me she wants a quiet weekend." I asked if we should at least take her to dinner. Melissa wrote, "No, she's tired lately. I'm probably just taking her to lunch. Don't turn it into a whole event." Brian reacted with a thumbs up. I said I could come by Sunday afternoon with a gift and cake. Melissa answered, "That's probably better. Let her rest Saturday." That seemed reasonable. Mom had been complaining that family gatherings exhausted her, so I didn't push. The Friday before her birthday, I called Mom and asked what she wanted to do. She sounded cheerful but vague. "Oh, nothing special," she said. "Your sister is handling whatever there is." I said, "Melissa told me you wanted a quiet weekend." Mom paused for a second, then said, "Yes, quiet is good." I should have noticed the pause. I didn't. On Saturday morning, I sent Mom a long birthday message and called around 10. She didn't answer. A little later she texted, "Thank you, sweetheart. Busy morning. I'll call later." I assumed Melissa had taken her out for lunch like she said she would. That afternoon, I wrapped Mom's gift, a photo book I had made with pictures of Dad, the three of us, the grandkids, and some of the old family vacations. I planned to bring it to her the next day. Around 9 that night, I was sitting on my couch when a photo appeared in my social media feed. My cousin Nora had posted it less than 5 minutes earlier. There was my mother in the center of a long restaurant table with a candlelit cake in front of her. Melissa was beside her. Brian and his wife were there. Melissa's husband was there. My Aunt Linda was there. Nora was there. 3 of the older grandkids were there. The caption said, "Celebrating Aunt Diane with the whole family. Happy 68th." I stared at the words, "whole family," longer than I want to admit. The restaurant wasn't some quick lunch place. It was an expensive Italian restaurant downtown where our family had celebrated anniversaries and graduations before. Everyone was dressed up. There were flowers on the table. In another photo, Mom was holding a wrapped gift from all of them. This wasn't last-minute pizza. It was a planned family dinner. And I was the only immediate family member missing. I took a screenshot and sent it to Melissa with one sentence. "I thought there wasn't a dinner." She didn't answer. 10 minutes later, Mom texted me instead. "It came together late. Please don't make this into a thing." That sentence hurt more than the photo. I hadn't accused anyone. I hadn't called. I hadn't demanded an explanation. But somehow, before I had even reacted, I was already being warned not to cause trouble. I put my phone down and decided I would talk to them in the morning. At 8:13 the next day, my phone buzzed. Venmo request from Melissa, $463.17. The note said, "You're third of Mom's birthday." For a few seconds, I genuinely wondered if I was misunderstanding it. Then, she sent a picture of the restaurant receipt in our sibling group chat. The total, including the cake, drinks, and tip, was $1,389.51. Melissa wrote, "Divided by 3, it's $463.17 each. Send when you can." Apparently, she had decided the three of us children would cover the entire family dinner as Mom's birthday gift. Maybe that would have been a reasonable plan if all three of us had agreed to it beforehand. I had not even been told the dinner existed. I called her. She answered like nothing unusual had happened. I said, "You're asking me to pay a third of a dinner you told me wasn't happening." She sighed. "Rachel, it was Mom's birthday. We always split Mom's birthday." I wasn't invited. That's not the point. I actually laughed because I couldn't believe she had said it. What exactly is the point? I asked. The point is that we're her children. Brian and I shouldn't have to pay more just because you weren't at the restaurant. You told me not to come. I told you Mom wanted it small. And then you invited everybody except me. Melissa went quiet, then said, "You live 40 minutes away. You probably wouldn't have come anyway." That was when I stopped arguing. I said, "Cancel the request. I'm not paying it." She told me I was being petty. Brian texted 15 minutes later and said, "Can we just not do this? Pay your share and move on." Then Mom called. She sounded tired. "Rachel, please don't ruin my birthday over money." I said, "Mom, this isn't about $400. I was told there was no dinner. Then everyone went without me. Now I'm being asked to pay for it." She said Melissa planned everything. I didn't know who she had invited. I asked, "Did you notice I wasn't there?" There was a long silence. "Yes," she finally said. That answer told me enough. Before I tell you what I learned next, if you've ever had a family member make a decision that hurt you and then accuse you of being difficult for reacting to it, tell me in the comments what boundary you would have set. And if you enjoy stories about people finally refusing to carry the part of the family nobody notices, subscribe to Real Stories of Women. That afternoon, Aunt Linda called me. She didn't start with small talk. She said, "Are you okay?" I told her I was fine, just confused. Then she asked, "Why did Melissa tell us you refused to come?" I sat straight up. "What?" Linda explained that when everyone arrived at the restaurant, Mom had asked where I was. Melissa told the table that she had invited me, but I was too busy with work and didn't want to make the drive. Linda said, "I thought that sounded strange because you're usually the one who shows up for your mother." I opened the sibling group chat while she was still talking. The messages were all there. Nothing big. She wants a quiet weekend. Don't turn it into a whole event. Let her rest Saturday. There had never been an invitation. The exclusion hurt, the bill made me angry, but the lie changed the whole thing. Melissa hadn't simply forgotten me. She had created a version of the evening where I had chosen not to be there. That way, nobody would ask why I was missing. I asked Linda if she wanted the screenshots. She said, "You don't need to prove anything to me." But I realized I did need to stop letting other people explain my absence for me. So I opened our larger family group chat, the one with Mom, my siblings, Aunt Linda, and a few cousins. I didn't write a long speech. I posted the screenshot of Melissa telling me there was no dinner, followed by the Venmo request. Then I wrote, "For clarity, I did not refuse Mom's birthday dinner. I was told there was no family dinner and was asked to stay away so Mom could rest. I'm also not paying for an event I was intentionally excluded from. I'm not discussing this further." For almost 10 minutes, nobody responded. Then Aunt Linda wrote, "Thank you for clearing that up." Brian called me instead of replying in the chat. He said he hadn't known Melissa told me there was no dinner. He thought I had declined. I asked him, did it never seem strange that I'd skip Mom's birthday and then agree to pay for it? He said, "I guess I didn't think about it." That was part of the problem. Nobody had to think about me because I was normally the reliable one. I showed up when needed, paid what I agreed to pay, and didn't make scenes. That made it very easy for the rest of them to assume I would absorb one more unfair thing to keep everyone comfortable. Melissa finally responded in the group chat that evening. She said she had been trying to keep the dinner low stress and knew I would make Mom feel guilty if I found out I was left out. That explanation made even less sense. I replied once, "You don't get to exclude me because you're afraid I'll be hurt by being excluded." Then I stopped answering. The next morning, the Venmo request disappeared. I didn't go over that Sunday afternoon the way I had planned. I texted Mom that I would bring her gift later in the week because I needed a little time to cool off. I still went to see Mom that week. I brought the photo book and sat with her at her kitchen table. I didn't punish her by disappearing, but I also didn't pretend the dinner had been harmless. Mom admitted Melissa had told her I was busy. She said she should have called me herself instead of accepting that answer. Then she said something I hadn't expected. "I think we've gotten used to assuming you'll understand." I asked what she meant. She looked down at the photo book and said, "If Melissa is upset, everyone tries to fix it. If Brian is stressed, everyone gives him space. With you, we always think Rachel will understand." I said, understanding isn't the same as not being hurt. Mom nodded. A week later, Melissa texted me about Mom's upcoming eye appointment. Normally, she would have written, "Can you take Mom Tuesday?" As if my schedule were automatically available. This time I answered differently. "I can help with Mom, but we need to divide appointments between the three of us. Put it in the sibling chat and let's decide who is available." Melissa didn't like that. Brian didn't either. But for the first time, Brian took an afternoon off and drove Mom himself. Nothing dramatic happened. Nobody lost a house. Nobody got fired. My sister didn't suddenly become a different person. But something in the family changed, because I stopped making unfairness convenient. The next time Mom had a family dinner, she sent the invitation herself, directly to all three of us. I went, and when the check came, everyone paid for what they had actually agreed to pay for. What stayed with me wasn't the $463.17. It was how quickly my family had turned my absence into my choice, and then tried to charge me for the celebration anyway. Sometimes the boundary isn't walking away from your family forever. Sometimes it's much simpler. It's refusing to pay for a seat they never saved for you.